Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring that we rule them all. Hope you'd remember your towel. Get your Ulu fingers and your needler guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to come. To the GEEK tank. To the GEEK tank. The Rocky Mountain GEEK tank.
Hi, I'm Guy,
Hi, I'm Troy.
and this is Geek Tank.
There's no elbow room in this elevator because it's crammed full of convention-sized podcast.
So I'm in super dramatic lighting mode. I just noticed how super dramatic my lighting was.
It's green.
Very dramatic. It's because I'm on the wrong camera, technically speaking.
That's you're under the watercolored lighting.
Right? If I go here, it's much more dramatic, or much more, like straight on dramatic lighting.
Yeah, that's radiation poisoning size lighting.
Yeah, I'm like, that's right. We'll go here.
Yep. So
we're talking today a little bit about conventions and convention stuff, and specifically the 4 billion conventions that are all going to happen now because COVID's going to come to an end. Hey, Brent, good to see you.
Well, it's a combination of vaccines getting out the door and then restrictions being unrestricted.
Right. So our friend earlier today, our friend Dustin,
Also a sponsor.
Yes, one of our sponsors, posted a list of conflicting, crashing, smuggling conventions in our local area that are now on. I'm sure that there will still be restrictions, so we should probably at least address a small amount of what we should do about, like, how to still socially distance-ish.
Right.
What should we do at these conventions once the year starts up?
Right. The ice cream lick and share cone convention's still not happening. So.
Yeah, neither is the vampire convention.
Yeah, which sucks and bites at the same time.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, so what he has been observing in his list, for those of you who are not familiar with the list, is he's commented that starting in July 8th through the 12th is Druids and Dragons in Loveland. Then August 19th through 22nd is the Deadwood Expedition, which is in Deadwood, South Dakota. That's kind of cool anyway.
Which that's not too bad because you just have June, July, then August, so you got one each month. That's not getting too crazy yet.
But then it suddenly gets wild at NDK. NDK is September 3 through 5th, and that's going to be at the Gaylord. So that's going to be a big monster con. Then,
well, it's not a convention about big monsters necessarily, are they? There are kaiju.
There are kaiju. So. PAX West is the same weekend in Seattle. So there's that. It's going to have to be a thing. Dragon Con then is September 2 through 6th in Atlanta. And these are all the same weekend. So we've got NDK, PAX West, and Dragon Con all at the same time. And Brent has moved to Facebook. So, well, there's a thing. As long as you don't have professional movers, and definitely don't have the military movers move your stuff.
Right. Just get friends because they only charge pizza and beer.
Right. And they're not likely to break stuff.
Well,
anyway, they might.
But yeah, so if you
love them, so it's okay.
Right. So if you actually travel outside of the state to go to conventions, then that might be an issue if you were planning on trying to attend multiples of those.
Right. Then Gen Con is the following weekend, September 16th. Well, no, I guess it's 2 weekends later, 16th through 19th in Indianapolis. That's the big one that you want to get us to go to someday.
Yeah, I got to go
I'm totally
once.
on board with that.
I got to go once, and it was the biggest convention I'd ever been to. It's humongous. I expect someday, probably not too many years from now, NDK will be the same size. It's because now that it's been put in a bigger space, it will most likely grow, kind of like that dragon thing from the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It fills the space that it has, so I suspect NDK will fill the space that it has. But yeah, Gen Con's massive board gaming convention. I went there and played tons of HeroScape tournament stuff, and there's just, if you could forego sleep, you could do stuff for the entire week. So
I've been working on my foregoing sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where the heck my camera is over here. I keep looking over here, looking up there, and looking over here.
You've got
finding my camera.
Yeah.
So Gen Con's big, and that's a big deal, and it's nice to see Gen Con still rolling. Then we've got BCon, which is on TBD weekend. That's a very important TBD. Yeah,
that big day.
We want to go to San Diego Comic-Con too. That'd be awesome.
Our friend Mo, the Toy Magnus, goes to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah. Then there's WhimsyCon, and that's September 24th and through 26th, and that's here.
And
that's a Shiny Garden, so that's one of our sponsors. So we'll probably be there. Odds are good. Look for us there. Origins is September 30th through October 3rd in Columbus, Ohio. And of course, we've got then coming back to another one of our home cons here, Mile High Con, October 1st through 3rd here in Denver. And then I love the name of this one, Game Hole Con.
Shut your game hole. Shut your game hole, guy.
Shut your game hole. Game Hole Con is October 21st through 24th in Madison, Wisconsin. And then BGG Con. Okay, that's November 17th through 21st in Dallas, Texas.
Now, one I don't remember mentioned, but you might have, was Starfest on the list?
Starfest is not on the list. They were in April. So
April 23rd, 25th.
But they've canceled out.
Yeah.
So they're not rolling this year because there's not enough.
Wasn't enough
of us vaccinated at this point.
Yeah, not enough lead up time to expect it or prepare for it.
But most of Colorado will be eligible for vaccines in the next couple of weeks. They're going to drop that age requirement down to an age that covers Troy and I. So we will go out and get vaccinated, and by the time we get to that stage, we will have been vaccinated for a while and likely back in Troy's basement watching movies again.
Right. In fact, since there's some people not wanting their vaccine, I might get it twice. Why not?
Right. Just for other people.
Oh, you don't want yours? I'll take seconds. It. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that for like pizza.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Hexacon then, another Shiny Garden, is in 2022. It's in January. So that's going to be another big deal. I think I've put off my tabling thing for a long enough time. I think I will
table the table
again. Yeah, I'll table again at Hexacon.
Well, cool. But yeah, if you go to most of these conventions, then you're going to have them all just sort of crammed right in there, which requires a lot of days off from work and such.
Crammed. I'm just cramming stuff.
So,
it could have been worse.
The people I imagine it hits the hardest are the vendors.
Yeah. Well, the vendors are going to have a hard time with that one because what's happening is there's a lot more bleed over now. I mean, it's easy to say putting, something like Dragon Con opposite NDK isn't that bad necessarily because it only takes a small portion of our gaming side. But the vendors that would go to both of those would have a problem with that. So that's the biggest thing because they can't be in two places at once. So that is an issue. So there's that. So that's kind of an interesting thing that we've got to kind of ponder is where is everything going here,
Yeah, and then have to wonder what kind of, even though vaccines will be mostly out, what kind of precautions will be taken in addition to that, because I'd be surprised if everything goes back to absolutely normal, so to speak. As I was wondering that myself, will we have officially made masks with the little NDK logo on it.
We've thought about that. We
So-
actually really have. I mean, that was on the table for last year's NDK, which didn't happen.
Right. Because from what I'm hearing, even with the vaccine, you can still be a vector and transmit it.
Yep.
So, for safety reasons, it would make sense that staff would want to consider wearing masks.
Sure. Sure. I mean, and that's one of those things where I think it gets to the point that by September, we will have been vaccinated. We will have had vaccine able to get to everybody for, June, July, August. So 3 months.
I just want my free mask, so.
Well, yeah, you can have a free mask.
And you want me to wear a mask because that'll keep you from having to look at me. So.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win on this one. All I have to do is look at the NDK thing.
Yep.
So that is definitely a thought process about how we're going to deal with that. And I think that one of the things that I know that our con chair has said many times is like, as long as there's a vaccine and we can get people vaccinated and cover the people who are at the highest risk, she doesn't really care. Because at that point in time, really, and I agree with her on this one, really, if you're not going to get the vaccine, it's on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's and that's a thing. If you can't get the vaccine for whatever reason, then you can't be in these big public places, for your own safety. But if you do decide to take the risk and you get it, that's on you, not on.
Right. Well, because there's no law forcing you to have to do it, because because of the mortality rate and the infection rate is low enough, that hasn't become a thing. I could see if it was more fatal and more contagious, and with the whole being able to carry it around asymptomatic, how that could have become a law in order to protect people. Because then it's no longer a personal choice, because you are becoming a vector without taking the steps necessary.
Right.
So for multiple reasons, and this being one of them, luckily we never got to that point.
I agree. It's sort of a thing. I mean, but once the vaccine's out and everybody's had an opportunity to get the vaccine, then I don't see how liability can lie on
the convention, right?
The convention for it.
Just need to do a cosplay of Kraven from the Marvel Universe with all the little tranquilizer darts and going around with a tranquilizer gun and vaccinate people.
Yep. So that's the way I see this. I think that we're kind of. That's interesting. Okay, we're live there. I am going to move this over to here. No, here. I wonder if I can move this here and make it so that I can look at least close to you.
Are you reading this transcript from your honeymoon?
Yep.
Okay.
How'd you guess?
I have a couple of copies.
That's true.
So
I'm just trying to get it so that I can control the video and look at you remotely close to my ear.
Okay.
There. A plague doctor, yeah.
Yeah. My son has
All
a plague doctor costume.
I mean, I'm still looking kind of like this, but it's not as bad anymore.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you look like you're looking at an iPad on the table.
I am looking at an iPad on the table.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not really. No, I have a camera mounted right on the stem where the VESA monitors are holding up, and I put that there to try to have a camera for these monitors, so that whenever because otherwise, if I put it on my other monitor over here, it gets kind of, I don't know.
You're looking at the wrong monitor.
I'm looking at the wrong monitor, and then trying to figure where things are going. It doesn't
right.
work. So
that's why I had to move our stuff over here, because over here is where I would normally have it. So you can either have the camera there or there.
Yep. You got it. You got it.
Oh, cool. So, yeah, tons of conventions coming up.
Yep.
Just have to deal with.
While we're at it, we should remind you the Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Game, Geekway Homes, Shiny Garden, and your
mom. Hopefully your mom gets her vaccine.
who's hopefully getting her vaccine. Yep, that's important. Yep.
Talking to you, Mom. Go get your vaccine.
Yeah, Mom, go get your vaccine.
Yep. And don't be picky about which one. Whichever one's available, that's the one to get.
Right, because my dad's already gotten the Johnson & Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and as you said, that was his way of sticking it to the man by not getting whatever the other companies were.
yeah, he didn't want to get Pfizer because Pfizer was, that I don't know.
They're the villains in his story.
He has a lot of stories that involve things like those villains. So I don't know. I don't get it. Sometimes I think I understand him, and then I stop understanding him.
What do you expect? So we maybe possibly for next week's show, we were talking about getting some friends together and doing a team co-op first-person shooter type deal. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
It might not be live depending on people's schedules because we want to make sure we get folks involved in it.
It could be very much dead.
Dead?
Well,
not live?
Yeah, if it's not live, it could very much be dead. If it's dead, that could be, a thing.
Maybe it's undead.
Could be undead if we're doing, Zombicide.
Yep. Well, so it only took us 18 minutes to talk about the conventions.
Yeah, I noticed that. So our plan for tonight was to
see you next. See you next
Bye,
week.
everybody. See you later.
So I'll tell you what. A show that I have to be like Kevin and you and I watch because it is not from Mariah and Tara is Doom Patrol, which I don't know if you've seen any of that or not.
I have not. But we did finish WandaVision, so at least we're
one good.
step up. So we're at the end of WandaVision, so there's no need to worry about spoilers at this point for that.
And of course, it's so far gone now, I've forgotten entirely what it was that I would have talked to you about it. So I have to go back and watch it again.
There's nothing going on at the end of it. It was really uneventful. The ending was just completely uneventful.
Yeah, no setup for a sequel or anything, of course.
No.
Because Marvel never does that.
No, yeah, man. No. Mm-hmm. Clearly, I didn't watch the after credits stuff either, the stingers.
Right. So. Of any of the episodes. Not just the last one, but the entire series.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's a thing.
So speaking of after credit stuff, something I found interesting with Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol, by the way, is on HBO Max, and it is a DC franchise, not for kids. I gotta specify that. What's funny is the first episode actually was fairly tame. So I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty cool. It'll be fun to show it to Tara, and then by the third episode, you've got like people being ripped in half, and I'm like, well, that's a bit too much violence and gore. Not gonna work for that. But they, for some reason, HBO Max, at least the way I guess I have it set up, it's not done, but it starts to roll the little thing so you could skip to the next episode, as though this is where the credits would go. And like in quite a few episodes, it does that. I'm like, well, that's weird. Stuff's still happening. Why is it setting it up like that? My guess is because it's supposed to be like the Marvel after credit stuff, but some reason the HBO Max setup doesn't quite do that right. But it's there's somewhere between 12 and 15 episodes for season 1 and only 9 episodes for season 2 because COVID hit. And it ends
a lot more episodes than I would have expected out of it.
That's cool. But it ends on a huge cliffhanger. And I guess they decided, well, we can't film anymore, but you know what? Some shows would end on a cliffhanger like this on purpose anyway. So we'll go ahead and stop here, and that'll guarantee people will come back if they're enjoying it. But I put it right up there with shows like The Umbrella Academy, which is also not for kids, but it is very enjoyable and has a lot of the same self-deprecating humor and such in it.
Gotta love self-deprecating.
Yeah, and so our viewer Brett mentioned still hasn't watched WandaVision. So here's the thing with WandaVision in the first episode. Yeah. So the thing with WandaVision is it takes you 3 to 4 episodes before it starts to decide to reveal to you what's going on. And if you're not comfortable with long form storytelling, then it's not going to hold your interest. I think I could say the same thing about Star Trek Discovery when that started out. So I'm starting to lose your audio there, guy. I don't know if it's because I'm talking over you or what, but I was losing your audio there for a second.
Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, but it sounds worse than when we started.
It's because I had it turned up
There you go.
like that. But then I was seeing when you were talking, I was seeing it on my meter. And so I thought I'd turn it down to try to just block that out. But if nobody's hearing echoes, then it's not a real problem.
Okay. I think it's better like this because before you sound really far away.
Well, I was really far away, but then I moved back to Colorado and all's good.
That's good.
Yeah. So, we've got a lot of offerings on geeky fronts coming up or finishing or wrapping up. And I'm curious about a lot of these that are in the realm of COVID. For example, we've already started filming Discovery and Picard on their next seasons. They're already rolling through there. There's extremely high restrictions and rules for the sets. So they've got to be able to, they've got to all be able to be in quarantine for X amount of weeks and yada, yada, yada. Now they all have to be vaccinated and, clear of that because, of course, vaccinations take a month. To be vaccinated takes one whole month because you got to do the first dose, wait 2 weeks, then do the second dose, then it's 2 weeks after that when everything comes into play. So from the moment you get stuck the first time, it's still 1 month, which is a lot of filming time and things like that where we lose some of that. So
Depending on the setup, I can imagine some scenes they could pull off doing with minimal crew, and especially if it's just one person in a cockpit, because you could keep enough social distance between the filming crew and lighting crew and the actors. But I don't know. You said they were Iceland filming at some point, or was that last season?
Discovery was filming out in Iceland.
Okay.
But that they aren't still filming. That was only season 3 that needed to be in Iceland.
Okay.
But I thought it was pretty cool that they were out in Iceland.
It's actually probably a good idea that they're not there now because they've had multiple earthquakes recently.
Somebody's trying to move Iceland around.
Yeah. The mole people.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens. I hate it when that happens. So that's an interesting thing that's going on. I think that's kind of cool. Let's see. We've got. I'm trying to think of what else is rolling at this point in time that is on its way. I know that Expanse season 6 is on its way and underway at this point, and season 6 is going to be the last season for Expanse, which makes sense if you've read the books. There is a massive time gap between book 6 and book 7. So it makes absolute sense that they're going to just stop after 6 because you'd have to fast forward 30 years for all of the actors to make it work. So, yep.
I was double check.
There are other things going on. Brent's saying he could see some things getting done earlier, like the digital special effects, ships flying through space and such that they can do now with limited contact. Mandalorian starts shooting in April. That's true. But the other thing that's interesting is the Mandalorian is starting to change television or filming again, because now Star Trek is building its own version of the space. The what do they call that? The volume. They call it the volume. And that's the Mandalorian has a special, really fascinating thing, which is a special stage which has 360 degrees of monitors around it, plus monitors over the roof, so that what they can do is they'll make in Unreal, the Unreal Engine, they'll make an environment, and then they tie it to the camera, so that the camera knows or the environment knows where the camera is. So as the person is walking along, it's moving the background across the walls, but it allows the lighting to be realistic. That's really great for the Mandalorian, who wears absolutely shiny armor, because his super shiny armor reflects every light, and that's a nightmare for gaffers and has been forever. And so this setup has a camera which films this in this volume, this real-time lighting, which lights the character correctly. And it's an amazing thing that they've been doing. But the thing I like the most about it is that it allows them to go to all kinds of alien worlds all the time. They don't need to actually go out to Tunisia anymore to shoot on Tatooine. They just build Tunisia in a computer and then project it on these screens and then have Mando wandering around inside the volume. And they'll build some practicals inside there. So you'll have like little standees and things like that are in there that are little practical things that, well, hills or mounds or whatever. But with that, though, now CBS is building a volume as well. And they're going to start using that in Star Trek. So that's going to be very cool.
Yeah, Mandalorian starts shooting in April, but Han shot first.
That's true.
So.
Gunta solo. So.
I heard that there's talk of Deadpool, the character Deadpool, taking over the role of the cameos that Stan Lee used to do. So now that instead of having Stan Lee in every Marvel film in a small 1-2 second cameo, Deadpool's going to start being that character in the background, which character-wise it fits, but he's not as beloved as Stan Lee, so I'm not sure how that'll work. You haven't seen either of the Deadpool movies yet, I think, right, Guy?
No, I can't watch them until somebody...
Right. They're on my list to show you because I actually want to see them with you, especially when... There's so many inside jokes in it, and there's a very subtle joke about Rob Liefeld, that I think when you hear it, you'll probably crack up laughing. But
you know that he's like on my to-do list of making jokes.
Right. So that's one of those that when the girls can't join us and it's just Kevin, you and I, we'll throw that on and watch it.
Yep. It also has Anara in it, so I want to see that.
Right.
Because anything that has Firefly actors is cool in my book.
Mm-hmm. Gosh.
Let's see. So the upcoming season includes quite a few Star Treks coming up. I also have seen that we've got the Star Trek Prodigy is gearing up, and we've gotten our first glance at that. That's a Nickelodeon show.
I was going to say, that's the one with the kids, right? That's the one with the kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kids find a starship, a Federation starship, and start to try to operate it. It is going to feature Kate Mulgrew, which I find fascinating. So we've got Captain Janeway or Admiral Janeway or some iteration therein involved in this. And I'm not sure how it's all working. She is reprising Janeway. We just don't know what iteration of Janeway it is.
I wonder if it would be like a hologram Janeway. Like maybe she's...
That's what they're saying is like, it's like the tactical computer, you know. They trip over the tactical computer and it projects Janeway, who says, "Welcome to tactical number 1," or whatever, you know. And,
as long as the hologram's drinking coffee, I'm okay with it.
Right? Because that's there's coffee in that hologram.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already rolling up, and I'm starting to see some production stills of that. They also just announced the cast of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but I don't know who they're all playing. But they've shown us a promo of Strange New Worlds, which looks wonderful and is very cool. You know what? We can share things now.
Oh,
so
but remember,
we'll get booted.
We'll get booted, and then I'll have to dispute it. Last episode that we did 2 weeks ago actually got yanked from Facebook because it was copyright claims. since we showed trailers for movie, and I had to actually go in there and say, hey, we weren't actually showing the movie, we were showing a trailer, and we are a news podcast. And I actually didn't think it would work. I thought they would continue to, because what do they have to lose to keep it from being aired? But they did release it, so you can go back and view it. But we do want to be careful about showing clips and stuff. But maybe make it a really short clip. Make it really tiny.
I don't think it's actually that very long yet.
Reverse the image and play it in a higher pitched. Yes.
Yeah, let's see if that works. So, I'm going to...
You make a funny face.
I'm going to make a funny face.
This is Guy's imitation of a rat that's dying. Dead rat.
Yep, dead rat. There we go. All right. Here we go, guys. The trailer for Strange New Worlds. Well, not the trailer, a thing. I don't know. It's a thing.
Space, the final frontier.
These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life,
And new civilizations.
To boldly go where no one has gone before.
That's right. Production is officially underway. All new Star Trek series.
strange new worlds.
I'm just so excited to say those words.
Stepping back onto the Enterprise will always feel like a dream come true.
To sit there and to look around and to see everything, it felt so real and it was so magical.
It looks like it could take off.
Such a surreal moment for me that I will remember for a very long time.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say it's like a 705.
So get ready for the voyages you have been waiting for.
We've started. We're in Toronto. We're in production.
Here we go.
To quote Scott Pilgrim, they make films in Toronto.
Right. But it's still, that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that.
I'd like to see a montage collection of videos of all the actors trying to practice that.
They're doing the...
Baby Vulcan, Mama Vulcan.
There we go. Baby Vulcan, do. Yep. There we go. That's
the new thing.
It's echoey. Are we echoey still?
No, that was only when you were playing the video because I think your speakers pick up the mic picks up the speaker thing too. Yeah, Rebecca there, I said the whole thing. Yeah, she did not look the same at all.
Rebecca Ramjan?
Yeah. Mystique.
Yes, she's Mystique.
Mystique.
And she's number one.
In your book?
Always be... Well, I mean, of course, that's one of those... The Trekkies will always know her as number one, which is kind of cool. Although it is funny that they have given her a name now.
Because they couldn't stick with number one.
Well, they sort of set a precedent in the 80s that number one was the name of your first officer by just sort of a title. Like, if you were my first officer, I could just either say Mr. Fleur or set a course, or I could say number one, set a course. You know, you can do either one of those. It depends on what kind of captain you are. So they sort of set that up as the style that, you know, Pike apparently liked to call his first officer number one, and Kirk didn't. And that was just the sort of the semi-established canon that we set up. But it is cool, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. It gives me chills watching that entire video every time. I'm like, Well, it's got the original theme, so that also is cool, which means, of course, that this episode is going to get pulled because we are broadcasting the original Star Trek theme without Alexander Courage's permission, even though Alexander Courage has passed away a long time ago.
Right. Or Gene Roddenberry's permission.
Who also has passed away a long time ago.
Even though the lyrics weren't in it, he would still come back from the grave and
come back to try to get a small amount of
royalties.
Yeah. That's a thing.
That's a thing.
So anyway, I'm back in Colorado, and that's kind of cool. And now the vaccines are kind of spreading their way across the land, and that's also kind of cool. And that means that shortly we will be able to hang out again, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Because I've forgotten what it's like to be with other people.
Although
shower.
I suspect our Starbucks shows are still a ways off because Chelsea's now making the donuts.
Yeah, we've got to figure out what to do with Chelsea here.
Yeah, because donuts are important.
They're very important. But Chelsea's also very important too. So
I place her above donuts, which is saying a lot. So
also true.
Oh, I thought you were trying to decide. I didn't know donuts were going.
Whether we should.
No, whether you put her above donuts or not.
That's a hard one.
I know. Now, if it was donuts and bacon, then that might be an even bigger difficult thing to get past.
Yeah, I mean that's rough.
Yeah.
I make you decide between donuts and bacon, and Chelsea.
Yeah. That's why you just have all three.
Yeah.
Emily is being scholarly still. She's
still.
Yep.
That's a good question. Emily is still off doing school. So
there will always be a place for her at the Geek Tank table.
Yep. So I mean, she's cracking down on the books pretty good, and that's cool. And I'm sure we'll get her back at some point. There will have to be a school break somewhere.
Eventually. You'd think.
You'd think.
If anything else, hopefully by October, since Emily and Chelsea are the ones who are into the supernatural stuff, and you and I poo-poo on the supernatural.
Yeah, we are notoriously, rough. Supernatural. Did we ever release the episode where we went out to the most haunted street in all of Colorado?
I think I did, but I can't promise that. I know that it was an editing nightmare because it was almost 2 hours of footage, and I did not want to put all 2 hours of footage out there since there was a lot of nothing going on. Yeah, spoiler alert, there's no ghosts that we found. But
we tried.
We did. We really did. I tried very hard to egg on the spirits to make their presence known. So.
In a week, there is spring break. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. It just seemed like it needed to be read in the. No,
Yeah.
Brett.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
We have not.
Well, if we had, it would have been on YouTube, I think. So I'll have to double check.
Yeah, it wouldn't be on FaceTube.
Yeah, my kids, Arapahoe schools actually start spring break next week, but then Jefferson County starts spring break the week after that.
Yeah.
Which makes planning vacations difficult, but of course this year it was easy because we decided we're not going anywhere since COVID is still doing its thing. Yeah.
Made it simple. So, yeah, I mean, I actually was kind of wondering when spring break was because I knew we were coming up on it somewhere along the line.
Yeah, for the college kids, I don't know.
I think actually what I have heard is that the colleges are intentionally not doing spring break to try to encourage the kids to not leave. So that's a thing.
Right. I'm sure we'll see the same thing we saw last year with floods of people down at the Florida area.
Beaches, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's spreading like wildfire and killing a whole bunch of people. Although, at this point in time, 74% of our elderly in Colorado are now vaccinated. So that's not bad at all.
Right. So they might actually
good.
They might actually outlive those that are younger than them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it starts a week from tomorrow. Oh.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah, we do every other Friday is off. So they're going to get an extra day for spring break. So there's that. I think that next week might be Denver as well. I don't know. So that's a hope thing that maybe Denver will be 1 week later because that'd be nice. I like it when we're all here at the house together at the same time. We get stuff done. I mean, that's really what we've been doing whenever we've been on vacation is cleaning up the house and putting up bookshelves and things like that. So my thought is the moment that people can finally come back and visit, this place should be relatively clean by then.
Which would be a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah, because you might actually get to have winter solstice party this year.
Right? We might. Definitely winter solstice. It's edgy about the idea of a summer solstice.
I wasn't even gonna. I'm assuming it won't, just because of how on the edge it is.
Yeah, that's right on the edge. We might do a small party for people who are vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Get a shot, then come have shots.
right? There you go. So, let's see. What other kind of boy? We suck at news this week.
Well, what do you expect?
I know. We were. We did mention that SpaceX's SN10 landed, but then fell over and exploded.
Did it fall over? I thought.
Explode.
As I say, it just exploded.
Yeah, it exploded. SN10 exploded, and that was cool because that's what they're after. They're not really intentionally trying to blow up their rockets, but the more rockets they blow up, the better their science is. So they like blowing up rockets. It's good for them. So.
And we still have our rover out on Mars with its drone, with its helicopter toy.
With its helicopter toy.
So,
And they just turned on the microphone on it yesterday and received the first audio of squeaking wheels because they moved the rover at the same time. And so what they really captured was the audio of the wheels going and all the little joints popping and everything like that, which was kind of cool.
I hope they have an audio of the drone of the probe going oil can.
Right? Exactly. So really?
Did not know
That's
that.
an interesting statement Brent has just made. I shall put it on the screen.
Bloop. Look at that. That's no
That
moon.
may explain why I'm having a hard time getting a video card for my wife's computer.
But not for her car.
Right? We don't need a video card for her car.
Yet.
So, but that's an interesting. So, Brent, then I'm going to ask you, Brent, is there some significant reason why? I mean, is it just that cars require many more computer parts suddenly? I mean, that seems like two related but different industries there. So I'm curious what Brent is going to say about that. So we will interview Brent. Our guest today is Brent. Suddenly, this is how we roll, folks. Our guest today is Brent. So I'm curious about that. I mean, you know, right? That brings me to a new thank you, Brent, for giving me something to talk about. Oh, I see. So they're buying up as many video cards as they can and throwing them in as many slots as they can and devoting the GPUs to crypto mining. I get it. So there is a new thing going in the art community. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it's the combination of COVID's manufacturing going down and the fact that there are more cars with computer parts that's causing this, namely Tesla. So there is a new form of crypto mining I want to talk about, and it is for artists. And I'm going to get the right name here for it, because it's not Bitcoin. It is NFT, or non-fungible token. So we've got this new thing in our culture now for these NFTs. I feel like this is going to just ask me for all kinds of crap. Because the website just started putting up all kinds of videos and stuff, and I'm like, GPU is better for crypto mining. I can imagine that. I'm using it for crypto No Man's Sky. Anyway, he's like, I'm on board for interviewing for computers. Yeah, actually, you know quite a bit. It would be very useful. You could be our hostile witness whenever we have to talk about computer things.
So is that when you go and start mining for Superman's dog, crypto mining? Is Siri saying goodnight to you?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
When
Why?
when your AI tries to put you to bed.
Well, not only that, the AI just said, "You're welcome, guy. Have a good night." Starting to scare me a little over there. So anyway, the this NFT is a new thing coming up in the art culture now. The non-fungible token. Non-fungible token means that it's like a crypto thing. So you get the picture, like I make an art piece, and I give it to you, and the art piece then comes with this NFT sort of cryptographic lock, which deletes it from my computer. So it's traded, not you. It's traded back and forth by this token, which removes it. So it makes that this piece is the only piece. There's only one of them. And apparently, this art piece that is like all good art pieces that make all of us artists go, oh my God, kind of like the toilet, and stuff like that. There's this art piece that was this really like simplistic picture was traded for something like $30,000. So somehow this NFT thing is making it so that there's a scarcity market, artificially making a scarcity market of art. Well, yeah, but the upside's so good, so I really just don't care. So Brent's saying that's the downside of having the C word as your wake word for my Alexa.
I've got kids. I can't do that.
Yeah, right. That's true. So, anyway, so this is a fascinating thing, but it's also very divisive. I've noticed. Many of my art friends have been saying, if you're going to deal with NFTs, just unfriend me now. I mean, like, that's a serious, dramatic statement.
How is it negative to the artists themselves?
Because it is in essence, it is using up electricity to pay for your artwork, to crypto mine.
Well, wouldn't the purpose of it to prevent piracy?
Yeah, yes.
Which should be useful to artists, I would think. Because I have noticed that there are some things can't be screen captured. They have a lock on them to prevent them from being screen captured. But of course, it doesn't prevent you from taking a second phone or camera and taking a picture of the screen itself. But I mean, that's still a long ways off from the tech that's going to stop that kind of thing. But there's measures being put into place to try to prevent people from just copying imagery and work as opposed to paying the artist for it. And this seems like one more kind of barrier to help prevent piracy.
Well, let's look up the meaning of what a non-fungible token is. A non-fungible token, NFT, is a unit of data on the digital ledger called a blockchain, where the NFT can represent a unique digital item, and thus they are not interchangeable. NFTs can represent digital files such as art, audio, video, and other forms of creative work. While the digital files themselves are infinitely reproducible, the NFTs representing them are tracked on their underlying blockchains and provide buyers with proof of ownership. The common blockchains, such as Ethereum, Bitcoin, Cash Flow, etc., each have their own token standards to define their use of NFTs. NFTs can be used to commonly digital creations to commodify digital creations, such as digital art, video game items, and music files. Access to any copy of the original file, however, is not restricted to the owner of the token. The first NFTs were Ethereum based and appeared around 2015. So there was something that one of my buddies was saying about NFTs, and I'm curious if I can find her post. Because she had posted something about NFTs a couple of weeks back. It says, if you participate in art NFTs, do yourself a favor and unfriend me. And never talk to me again. I want no part in someone so immoral. They asked what it was, what her, why would that be the thing? And she says NFTs are essentially digital originals of artwork, sort of like an original artwork. People sell them on NFT websites with the site's currency, which is cryptocurrency. The mining needed to generate the amount of currency exchanged on these platforms equals decades or centuries of energy use. The factories, industrial complexes that generate this mined currency to be bought and exchanged uses insane amounts of technology and generates insane amounts of e-waste and literally needs insane amounts of land to host these complexes. So
it's an environmental thing.
Right. They can sell for thousands or hundreds of thousands. And the idea is this whole thing is causing a divide in the community of morals and responsibility to the planet versus quick, insane amounts of cash. She's into the word insane.
Okay.
It's like the fourth insane in there. So.
Yeah, the first article that I pulled up looking for it is just talking about how famed auction house just sold its first purely digital piece of art for $69 million. For that price, the buyer got a digital file of a college of 5,000 images and a complex legacy of greenhouse gas emissions. So, yeah, so I guess it's not sitting stagnant somewhere. It's constantly cranking out negative carbon footprint.
Right. It has to require energy.
Which is interesting because with the Star Trek currency, we speculated was basically energy.
Right.
So.
Right. So this is an interesting advance in the art world. And I'm noticing a clean delineating line between my artist buddies. Some are, and it seems to be, we've got like 5% that are into NFT, 50% are against NFT, and then the remaining 45% are like, what? The what? The who?
Right, that's the boat I was in.
Yeah. So, and, honestly, I would love it if people would pay me more money for my artwork. That would be great. That'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a whole lot we can do about this. That digital artwork makes it difficult for us to make any money. I get that. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I think really what needs to happen is somehow we need to change our culture. Because right now in our culture, artists are considered to be, lazy or whatever. They're not real people doing
expendable
real work. Right. Or hobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
Until they need something, at which time we're indispensable. But for the most part, I feel like we're kind of hobbyists in the culture. And really what needs to happen is people need to figure out a way to fit artists into a capitalistic society that works,
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a problem. And I feel like Patreon does a good job of that.
Yeah, because a big part of it's about getting to as big of an audience as possible. Since art is subjective, you're trying to find those people that go, this is art that I like more than this art, right. And I'm willing to spend money on a printed, framed picture of this piece for the artist who created it.
Right.
And so the bigger the audience, the more likely you're going to find those people that subjectively prefer your art over someone else's art.
Yeah. The struggling artist or the Picasso. Picasso, who is both of those.
Wasn't Picasso famous because he died?
Right. It's a Picasso. You'd have to watch Saturday Night Live to get that. That was a really particularly funny skit. I like that one. Like, sir, you have to pay for your coffee. Now it's a Picasso. Yeah. We're not going to accept that.
It's when you need a sign in your establishment that says cash, credit cards, but no artwork.
Right, but no signatures.
But no signatures.
Right. Well, that's at least we found something to talk about by wandering around.
Right. And it was geeky, which we stayed on our wool house. Stayed in our.
I'm curious about how NFTs are going to affect our culture. I mean,
Right.
really am.
Well, it's important, so because especially as an artist and from a geek aspect.
Yep. And then I'm very intrigued by my super awesome intense lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, well, Rembrandt. Yeah, that's right. I don't think anybody can spell Rembrandt. I don't think Rembrandt could spell Rembrandt, so it's all good. That was just a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, yeah. But the Monet is with Monet. Mm-hmm. The money is with Monet.
Got to get my pun in.
Punishing.
Yes.
Okay. Well, next week we should have. Well, I don't know what we'll be doing this week. I don't think we know what we're doing.
I'm going to try to get our gang together to do the Counter-Strike thing, because I think that'll be a lot of fun. And if we can get at least 2 other people that can do it on Thursday night, we can go live and do it, because a team of 4 is sufficient.
That would be sufficient.
And also that'd be easy enough to do the screens. If we had 5 people on here, I'm not sure how we would do that. So.
Yeah, I don't know whether we can all share our screens or not. I feel
Right.
like StreamYard doesn't like that.
We'll have to plan. We'll have to do a little messing around ahead of time and see what we can do.
I mean, I can kind of do an inset like this,
Mm-hmm.
and share my monitor inset. I can kind of do that.
Well, if anything else, you and I can share our screens and have those side by side.
Yeah.
And we'll have the audio of our teammates with us.
Right. We can also go to the desk, which is very green. Look at the desk. It's awesome.
Yep. That's just for yesterday.
Right? For yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Not in fact for Geek Tank like we thought it
No,
was.
not at all. Well,
So,
I'd like to thank our audience, Brent.
right? Yes, that's exactly what I did, Brent. Is OBS the screen to StreamYard. I have learned how to do that now. So now I can do OBS to StreamYard, and that's awesome. Which allows me to do all kinds of stuff like, I can put in all of the things with the recorded earlier banners and stuff like that. Oh, that's good. The eternal thingy. There we go.
Recorded earlier.
Banners and stuff like that. That's cool.
Which at the moment's a lie, but shortly after from now
Yeah.
it won't be.
5 minutes from now it won't be.
Correct.
No. Okay. As weird as we have all been, and we are always weird, that's all the time that we have for today. We'll see you next week. Until then, I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And this is Geek Tank.